When we hear the word grooming, we often think about children. But what if I told you it can also happen to communities? That's why abuse can be undetected for so long. And I've lived through that confusion myself. So I want you to hear this breakdown from consent educator Rosalia Rivera, because it really shifts how we see abuse. So let's dive in.
I think it's important that we talk about how insidious grooming is. I think in part because a lot of people understand this idea of grooming children and children being groomed, and it's still a fairly new concept that people are learning about. And I think it's great that parents are learning about it, but I think it's also important that everyone, regardless of whether you're a parent or not, understands that offenders groom communities. They groom the people around them.
Now, this is a real key point. It's not just about protecting the kids one-on-one. It's also about seeing how abusers really set us all up in the community to look the other way without knowing it. I know for me, it was almost impossible to see because the whole community was charmed. Not only have I been a victim on the other side of this, but I've also been the one who has been charmed as part of the community. Let's look at what this actually means.
I always like to point to Larry Nassar as a perfect example because he was well loved in the medical community. He was well respected in the gymnastics community. He founded an autism foundation. He was a family man. He had kids and he was married. And he's not at all what people think about when you think about an offender, right?
Hearing this example was really hard because I had to accept a really hard truth, and that is often offenders don't look like the monsters we imagine. They're often our neighbors, teachers, preachers, and people in the community. And that's why this conversation matters so much.
And I think that there's still this misconception of what an offender looks like, and there's biases and there's misplaced ideas of who an offender can be. And so it's very easy for offenders to hide in plain sight.
It is scary to hear that it's very easy for offenders to hide in plain sight. Not only do we have, disbelief in the child, but the whole community was groomed not to believe them. And this part really needs to change.
And I think that's a big part of why so much abuse continues to happen and why victims aren't believed.
So if you ever wondered why survivors aren't believed, or why abuse goes undetected for so long, it's because grooming goes beyond just one child. It shapes how a whole community can respond. Did this shift your perspective on grooming? If so, leave something in the comments and maybe your perspective can help another survivor feel less alone. If you want to keep unpacking these hard conversations with us, hit subscribe. We have more survivor stories and expert video content coming your way because no one should have to figure this out in silence. You are Braving Healing.